joining me now on the phone line is India Today's consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai. Rajdeep, till now there was a lot of suspense if one nation, one election could be on agenda for Parliament session. Now we are being told a committee has been formed by Modi government. What do you think really is happening on the ground? Is it just about a perception that the government is putting forth, or they are definitely gunning and going for it perhaps in the next few months?
You know, Pooja, I see this as very similar to the Uniform Civil Code. You are testing the waters by putting up a proposal which will attract a lot of debate and comment, and then asking a committee to come up with ideas which can then be subject to further debate. I don't think one nation, one poll is some kind of a magic bullet that can overnight be brought before Parliament. There are sharp divisions on this issue, both within the ruling coalition as well as within the opposition. There are about a dozen opposition chief ministers, Pooja. Not all of them will be on board on one nation, one poll. In fact, many of them will be against it. And therefore, even within the BJP also, I am told that there are several state-level leaders who have their own reservations about one nation, one poll. So I think this is simply another trial balloon that the government wants to put to capture the narrative, to set in some way an agenda that this is a government which wants major constitutional changes. But I don't think, given the timeline, Pooja, of September 18th being the Parliament session, that we will see a legislation of such a kind that requires a constitutional amendment and a two-thirds majority and 50% of state assemblies across the country. My own sense is that the special session of Parliament, Pooja, will be much more about Prime Minister Modi's role in G20, his support for the Chandrayaan mission, and to create a general feel-good buzz around India and Mr. Modi ahead of the state assembly election.
So a tone could be set in the special Parliament session as well. But Rajdeep, to the trial balloon that you're referring to, could this trial balloon actually fly with it the two big issues of UCC and one nation, one election, at least as election issues ahead of 2024? It may or may not become a reality, but could it actually become an election issue that even the Modi government will want to push forward?
You know, my own sense, Pooja, is more than an election issue. This is about creating an environment and a mahal wherein the government is seen to be doing something, that the Uniform Civil Code is a promise for the future. One nation, one election is a promise for the future. These are not deliverables at this stage. I think these are all for the future, to give the impression that this is a government committed to change. It's also, in a way, not, the opposition will say it's a distraction from the issues they want to raise, like the Adani issue. But I think it's more about who is able to set the narrative. The Modi government wants to project itself as a change maker. The opposition wants to say that the Modi government has made many promises in the past that they have not fulfilled. It's the battle of narratives, I think, that we are seeing at the moment.
It's an important point because the India huddle is ready with unemployment, price rise. These are issues that they are ready to attack and corner the government with. Rajdeep, I do have an added question here. You've been covering elections for decades now. India is actually virtually always on an election mode, and there have been talks about whether we should have one election and once and for all. But do you think that is a possibility? Can that happen in a country as diverse and with as many states as there is?
You know, I think to ensure one nation, one poll, you have to get all the state assemblies on board. Many of these state assemblies are in different stages of their evolution. Some are, like Karnataka, has had election 4 months ago. Others are completing a 5-year cycle. To get all of them on board in a country as complex as India is not easy. It's a nice idea for a television studio or a seminar debate at this stage. But talking to politicians, they are at the moment wary of it. They think it will convert India into a presidential system, which many of them don't want. You see, there are chief ministers who are afraid that the moment you go to one nation, one poll, are we moving towards a presidential system? So I think if the BJP gets an overwhelming majority in 2024, they can push ahead with it. But at this stage, I think they are throwing a trial balloon to test the waters and see whether there will be any traction, like they tried with the Uniform Civil Code 2 months ago.
Rajdeep joining us right now because varied voices are coming in. Adhiranjan Chowdhury is joining us on the phone line. I would like you to take this question because it's all about how the opposition has got together. And all right, Adhiranjan Chowdhury continues to be with us right now. What is the India huddle or the opposition going to say? Because this looks like not a suspense or a speculation anymore, Mr. Adhiranjan. This is going to be the next step that the government at least is testing waters with. Do you think it is a proposal worth going What is your view on it?
The issue is, it is intriguing to note that why the government has chosen this time is right for, introducing this kind of legislation or for having discussion on this kind of legislation. And why does this issue warrant the government to, summon or convene the parliament session in such an abrupt manner? It is really intriguing to note, because the issue is that it is a constitutional matter which needs to be elaborated in a threadbare manner. Not only that, the people across the nation have to be taken into confidence before, introducing this kind of legislative document. But the issue is that why this government thought it prudent that the time is right to, test the water on
so
that
as a
issue.
Congress member of Parliament, with the session that's just now got over, in which you were also suspended briefly, why do you think this Parliament session is being called and all this talk about this one nation, one election has been brought in with a committee also?
This is nothing but the government is simply playing the tricks to deflect the attention of the common people from the core issues for which people across the country are being confronted with various kind of impediments and other sufferings. When the country has been witnessing the soaring prices, which is really unbearable for the common people. Second thing, when the consolidation of opposition parties are being taken place, government has been exhausting all its resources to drive a wedge and to deflect the attention of the common people from the core issues, which is part of being the common people across the nation day in and day out. It is nothing but a ploy to deflect the attention of the common people.
What are we expecting from the India huddle that's currently on in Mumbai? Are we expecting reactions coming in? Do you think the India group will collectively come forward and say they will not want to go ahead with the One India, One election right now, specifically ahead of 2024 polls?
Absolutely. Out of the blue, the government has been thinking over it. It is simply out of the blue, without having any discussions, without having any confabulation or taking any kind of suggestion from the people who are well competent on this issue. First of all, government should take the view of the judiciary also. Whether I don't know whether it is relevant right now or whether it is in compliance with our constitutional provisions inside in our constitution. Because India is such a country where we are preaching for the democracy, for plurality, for diversity. But the way government has been approaching, it is nothing but a centralization of power. It is nothing but a precursor of presidential system of government. Simply, it is nothing but a precursor of presidential system of government. That this time it will be suiting for this government.
My final question, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, is what are you expecting from the special session? Because you're a Lok Sabha member of Parliament as well and a senior leader of the Congress party representing the group there in the Parliament. What are you expecting on 18th September to 22nd?
First of all, there was no such situation which warranted this kind of abrupt summoning of the session. My first reaction is because there is no emergency situation or other issues involved. See, first of all, if government was eager enough to look into the other emergency situation, other security-related situation in our country, the government should focus on the Chinese aggression, Chinese transgression across the state, across the border of our country. But right now, the government has been, trying the balloon to see the repercussion of the common people and to simply to deflect the attention of the common people. I have already stated it.
All right, Congress Member of Parliament, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, I appreciate you speaking to India today. So here's what the Congress party has said.